Let me ask you something quietly. Have you ever noticed that the moment you finally decide to change your life is the exact moment your life starts to feel heavier? You start waking up earlier. You start saying no to distractions. You stop running from yourself. And instead of feeling powerful, you feel tired. You feel lonely. You feel disconnected. You feel behind. And you think, why does this feel worse now than before? Wasn't growth supposed to feel good? Wasn't discipline supposed to feel empowering? Wasn't this supposed to make me happier? But what if the heaviness you're feeling isn't a sign that something is wrong? What if it's the sign that something is finally working? No one tells you this part. They tell you about confidence. They tell you about success. They tell you about becoming your best self. But they never tell you about the middle. The space between who you were and who you're becoming. The place where the old you starts to dissolve, but the new you hasn't fully formed yet, so you feel empty. You don't belong to the old life anymore, but you don't feel at home in the new one yet either. And your mind starts to whisper, maybe I should go back. Maybe I was happier before. Maybe I'm not built for this. But you weren't happier. You were just comfortable. You weren't peaceful. You were just distracted. And today I want to explain something that might completely change how you see your struggle. Because what you're experiencing is not a failure of willpower, it's a psychological transition. And the middle is the hardest part, not because you're weak, but because your identity is changing. Let me show you why. When you start to change your life, you're not just changing habits, you're changing identity. Your brain doesn't care about your future self. It cares about survival of your current self. So when you stop scrolling, stop numbing, stop avoiding, stop living on autopilot, your nervous system goes into alert. Not because you're in danger, but because you're leaving the familiar. The brain equates familiar with safe, even if familiar is painful. So the middle feels like anxiety, loneliness, fatigue, confusion, emotional heaviness. Not because you're regressing, but because your system is recalibrating. You are literally teaching your brain, we live differently now. And the brain always resists change before it adapts. This is not weakness, this is biology. Comfort doesn't make you happy. Comfort makes you numb. It removes friction. It removes uncertainty. It removes emotional exposure. So when you leave comfort, you don't just lose pleasure, you lose anesthesia. You start feeling things again. Boredom, dissatisfaction, fear, longing, grief for lost time. Growth reintroduces sensation. And sensation feels painful before it feels alive. That's why people confuse healing with suffering, and why they confuse numbness with peace. You are no longer who you were, but you are not yet who you're becoming. So you feel socially out of place, mentally unsettled, emotionally heavier, less certain than before. This is the psychological equivalent of standing in a doorway. You can't go back inside, but you haven't stepped fully outside either. This is why people relapse. This is why people quit. This is why people return to habits they outgrew. Not because they want the old life, but because it feels known. Most people don't quit when it's hard. They quit when it's unclear. When there's no dopamine, when there's no applause, when there's no proof yet. They quit when discipline stops feeling exciting and starts feeling lonely. They quit when motivation fades and only consistency remains. They quit when growth stops feeling heroic and starts feeling ordinary. That's the test. Here's how you survive. 1. Stop interpreting discomfort as failure. 2. Stop waiting to feel confident before acting. 3. Stop comparing your inside to other people's outside. 4. Reduce your world to small daily promises you always keep. 5. Let yourself grieve the old version of you. You are allowed to miss who you were, even if that version was holding you back. growth includes mourning. If you feel heavier than before, good. That means you're no longer asleep. If you feel uncomfortable, good. That means you're no longer stagnant. If you feel unsure, good. That means you're no longer pretending. You are not lost. You are between versions. And the middle is where the old you quietly dissolves so the new you can exist. Stay. Don't turn back. Don't rush forward. Just keep walking. And one day, you'll look back at this version of yourself and realize this was the moment everything actually changed. If this gave language to what you're feeling, subscribe. If you're in the middle, stay with us. If you're tired, rest, but don't quit. You're not broken, you're becoming.